AU.
The 5AA Breakfast Show. The news, the issues.
They're getting out of bed early up in Queensland with these new boot camps for young offenders. Forensic psychologist Luke Broomhall. Good morning, Luke.
Self-esteem is not shown to be a criminogenic risk factor, as in if we improve people's self-esteem, it's not always going to have an impact on their ability to reoffend.
It just makes them feel better about being crims.
The 5AA Breakfast Show. Weekday mornings from 6 on 1395. Adelaide's 5AA Interactive Radio. Call 8223 0000. Peter Godfrey.
17 minutes past 5. Let's take a look at some of the news affecting our cousins in New Zealand. Selwyn Manning in NewZealandLiveNews.co.nz. How are you, Selwyn?
Yeah, very good, Peter.
Good. Getting ready for a long Easter break over there?
Yeah, it'd be wonderful. Yeah, there's a little bit of rain coming too by the look of it, so it's been so long since we had a good downpour over here that it'll be a welcome thing.
We understand that quite well over here.
Yeah.
All right, on to firstly a pretty big topic. You've spoken about this before, but there's more the questions raised in your Parliament regarding Prime Minister John Key's relationship with your spy agency there, a cosy relationship. You've done a bit of an investigation into this that led to the questions. Yeah,
those are the big words, really. Yeah, the Prime Minister, John Key, has a apparent cosy relationship with the spy agency. We're talking about the Government Communications Security Bureau, or commonly known over here as the GCSB. They always have these flash acronyms, don't they? Yeah. And now what's happened is in Parliament yesterday, opposition politicians continued to question John Key over his friendship with the GCSB director, Ian Fletcher. Now, what came to pass during that was that it was found that John Key was an old schoolmate of the current director's brother, and that John Key's mother was best friends with the spy boss's mother. So this cosy kind of relationship came through, and John Key front-footed this in the House. He says, if this is what they're getting at, this is what the situation was, so be it, kind of thing. But he's under pressure, Peter, because of his apparent lack of interest in overseeing the spy agencies. John Key's line very much was that he was not briefed on the illegal surveillance that went on under the umbrella of the GCSB on the internet tycoon Kim Dotcom. That John Key's position was, I was not told about the operation nor how it was illegal until around 7 months after it concluded, the operation concluded. That brought into question whether or not the Prime Minister was doing his job properly. Was he overseeing the agencies to a satisfactory manner? Yesterday in the House, the Labor Deputy Leader, Grant Robertson, asked him specifically, well, if you weren't briefed at these briefing meetings that you have with your spy boss, what on earth goes on at those meetings? So what they're getting at here is really, is the country being served, is the national interest being served, is the public interest being served by the Prime Minister's kind of easygoing, I'm a good mate type attitude with his public servants? And when you get a revelation from the Prime Minister himself that he admits, actually they're all family friends, it brings into the frame that whether or not New Zealand's oversight of its spy agencies needs significant and serious reform.
Okay, so questions about whether it's the whole old boy network. What's the term? Old boy network.
Yeah. The old boy networks. The cronyism claims are starting to surface here. The Parliament went into an uproar where many on the opposition benches would say that the Speaker kind of manipulated it in a sense to create a diversion away from the Prime Minister on these points. It was right when the Prime Minister was admitting to these things, and he used his comedy routine to kind of get himself out. And it forced the opposition MPs to basically react, as they do in the debating chamber. They scream and yell at each other and all this type of thing. The Speaker ended up chucking out of Parliament a couple of the leading Labour MPs, and which ended up taking the fizz out of the question lines that were going there and wasted a lot of time. So it was an interesting one, but really, I suppose what it comes down to now is the Labor Party in opposition and the other opposition parties, are they serious about reforming the oversight of the spy agencies? That question is really unanswered at the moment. Are they merely going for a political point-scoring move where they're trying to expose the Prime Minister's apparent incompetence overseeing this particular area of his responsibilities, or are they serious in trying to drive public appreciation for a need to oversee, to have oversight broader than just the Prime Minister, for example, in the parliamentary area, and also whether or not it's right and prudent for a commissioner and members of a commission that would be set up to oversee the oversight of these spy agencies. This kind of argument is starting to develop, Peter, and it takes place because of a few things over a timeline. Like, back in the 2000s, there was the Ahmed case where the New Zealand SIS, the intelligence service, got the whole thing wrong, and the man was in prison for quite some time under the belief that he was a danger to New Zealand's security. That was a long, costly court case that went into the millions of dollars. Now, with this type of thing, with the GCSB and the legal surveillance, it raises questions as to what is the culture that is, current inside these intelligence agencies. Is it serving New Zealand's interests? And this is where it looks like the politics is going on.
Okay, what is it? Is it an issue that's resonating with New Zealanders generally? Are they are New Zealanders concerned, or is it more that it's the opposition? Is it more the politicking that's going on? Is there a drive from New Zealand people?
It's within the politics, really, and those that watch these types of things. The general public, I think, is very sympathetic to John Key's line, that he was not aware, he was kept in the dark, and it's almost as if the public has a view that, well, it must be tough, John. It must be really difficult trying to keep these spooks in line. And it's almost like that. The polls relating to his personal popularity, no single issue brings those down. They have been coming down, but not to the degree where it would suggest that the New Zealand public thinks that they've got an absolute clown in the beehive here. This type of thing, though, is the kind of thing that erodes over time, in the sense that if there is not satisfactory oversight taking place of the intelligence agencies, then the assurances or the satisfaction on the public interest tests starts to actually fall. That's where it seems that the politicians who are serious about wanting to actually find solutions to these problems, instead of having that responsibility on one person's head, to broaden that out. I'm not sure of the situation in Australia, but if you look across to the United States, you have congressional oversight committees. They're recorded, they're publicly made available. They don't go into the specifics like the intelligence agency is going to send a beam and watch this guy at this address by this name and all of that type of thing, but they'll go into the governance of it and also retrospective tests of performance very, very carefully. New Zealand has none of that. There's a parliamentary oversight committee that meets about twice a year that gets all of this baffle from the intelligence agencies for about 45 minutes apiece. And that's, in anybody's terms, that's unsatisfactory.
So meanwhile, nothing being done to tighten that up, and the politicking goes on. This will drag out for a while, I guess.
It will, and if there's going to be any change, it would be led by the Labour Party, and that would have to come into play once it got back into government. Okay. And of course, that doesn't look a shoe-in at all for quite some time.
Meanwhile, they're out for blood.
Yeah.
By the same. On to other topics now. You've spoken this before, but it's something that's developing again. Your marriage equality bill, to give rights to same-sex couples to marry. The third reading of that bill, which is tonight, is it?
Yeah, it'll be pretty soon. It won't be tonight, but it's going to be pretty soon. What happened last night was the debate where every amendment comes back to the Parliament. I remember when we spoke last time, we kind of said it's got to go through a few formalities. Yep. Now, on every point, it was voted in support of marriage equality. So now that's all done and dusted, all the hard work is done, and then it will have its third reading, which is coming up on the order papers pretty soon, where the Louisa Wall, person, the opposition member who put the bill before the Parliament, she simply reads what the final bill is, and then it's a formality of bang, it is signed off for the Governor-General to create it into being a law. So take it as read. Within a couple of months, people of any gender will be able to marry each other. Okay. In New Zealand.
Mm-hmm. There was, did I see there was a call for a referendum on it? But that was ruled. Was it ruled out of order? That suggestion or call?
It didn't. That amendment and that call didn't pass. That was pushed by the New Zealand First Party, which is in the opposition bloc, but it's a more centrist positioned party, sometimes verging on the nationalistic. And New Zealand First has made a long a pitch for when there are significant issues that are put before the Parliament, it should go to a referendum, and it's sticking to that kind of brief. But the majority in Parliament didn't accept that argument, and that was dropped. So, yeah, the whole law now, the whole bill, the legislation is just a hair's breadth away from becoming law. It's extremely popular, particularly with the younger generations. Recent polls this last week have shown that in the older generations of New Zealanders, there is division there where they think, oh no, this is just not where we want to see our country go. But that's been a little bit late in taking form, and one would imagine it'll fizzle out pretty soon too.
Yeah, all right. Selwyn, thank you so much. Have a great Easter long weekend, and we'll catch up with you next week for some more news from your part of the world.
Okay, Peter. Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Selwyn Manning in New Zealand. Head to livenews.co.nz for more news from New Zealand. Anne Stone has our news next here at 13.95, Adelaide's 5AA.
Paradise Motors Mazda is 100% Mazda and 100% behind these incredible deals. Own Australia's favourite small car, the Mazda 3, for as little as $20,990 drive away. Or look like a star in the Mazda 2 from $15,990 drive away. Treat yourself to a new Mazda today while stocks last at these prices. Australia's favourite small car from SA's most awarded Mazda dealer. Paradise Motors Mazda, 738 Lower North East Road at Paradise, the My Mazda people.
Bedford invites you to play Bedford Bingo. It's a great night out in a friendly atmosphere. It's inexpensive, fun, and who knows, you could win. It's also helping a worthy cause.